Government is insolvent. And for those who don't know what insolvent means, that means we don't have enough assets to pay our bills. Our liabilities are bigger than our assets. Our tax base have went down because of all these tax cuts that we've done for the ultra rich. A lot of people aren't working right now, so that also reduces the amount of taxes that are coming in. A lot of people aren't paying their taxes because they don't want to be a part of this war that they're doing. So that's another issue about what's being taken out of the coffers. We're spending so much money on the military per day. Per day. We can't keep this up. And so people was like, well, what does that mean for me? Usually, when you are insolvent, you declare bankruptcy, right? And then there are steps and stuff for you to take. The U.S. declaring bankruptcy would be catastrophic. The amount of debt that is held by other countries, our debt, treasuries, right? They buy our dollars so that they can do stuff, right? Which is why it's interesting that they are trying to move the sale of oil from U.S. dollars to the yuan, which is the Chinese currency. The petrodollar has kept this empire alive for as long as it has been, right? As if they slowly move away from that, and this dumb president, we were already on fire. The ship was already sinking. If y'all sit here and tell me
the United States is in its grippy socks era, if you know, you know. I have to be honest, I find this a little bit hilarious. The United States is entirely broke. Actually, worse than broke. We owe, what is it, $47.7 trillion? You guys, none of you have any idea what $1 trillion is. Your brain, it's past the point where your brain can even fathom that large of a number. Yeah, and we owe 47 trillion of those. So I think it's time to wrap this up, you guys. Which, if we're being honest, that's fine. We don't want to do this anymore. Collectively. Do you want to keep being a hamster on a wheel of fake numbers on a page? I don't. Why are we doing this? We're doing this so that some people can feel like they're better.
You know, there's plenty of things to be angry about these days, but one that slipped under the radar we need to talk about is the financial condition of this country, which was recently revealed in a series of articles showing that we have $47 trillion in liabilities and only $6 trillion in assets. That's right. And if you add in Social Security, Medicare, Medicaid, you're talking about $136 trillion in liabilities and like $6 trillion in assets. Think about that for a moment, okay? This is crazy. And you know how we got here? Politicians in Washington kicking the can down the road, knowing that people like my age and younger are going to have to pay for this. It's coming for us.
We got here because Yahweh Shah is on his way back. First and foremost, we want to give all praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh Bahashem, Yahweh Shah Bahashem, Rechach Wadash. Double honors and salutations to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone. Much respect to you brothers out on the highways and byways, pushing this truth with fear and sincerity. And shalom to the hopeful elect. Shirbrother Chalak come back at you with another video. And as you can see from the little collage of videos that I had in the beginning, Babylon has become insolvent, right? And if you don't know what the term insolvent is, I believe the lady, the woman, Eve, whatever, she explained it as debt. Let's look up real quick. Insolvent, bankrupt. So Babylon the Great is bankrupt, right? And it's gonna cause a lot of problems as of right now, right? With energy crisis, economic crisis, war crisis, political crisis, food crisis, gas crisis, job crisis, debt crisis, gender crisis, civil crisis, division crisis, cybersecurity crisis, information crisis, right? This place is in crisis mode, right? Babylon the Great is in crisis mode, and it's only going to get worse before it gets better. As a matter of fact, let's look up the etymology of the word crisis real quick, since we're going in crisis. Crisis, noun, early 15th circle, crisis. It says decisive point in the progress of a disease, right? And we know the word disease is the body is not at ease. And this body, this bitch, this whore, she's not at ease. right? As it says in, was that Isaiah 47? You should be tender and delicate. Isaiah 47:1, come down and sit in the dust, O virgin daughter of Babylon, right? A virgin, she hasn't been touched. She's young, tender, right? Babylon, as we know, ancient Babylon, the Neo-Assyrian Babylon, right? That was in Iraq, ancient times, right? We know this Babylon today is talking about America, right? Because that same type of vibration, spirit, is in this place, Babylon the Great. Come down and sit in the dust. Dust means confusion, O virgin daughter of Babylon. Sit on the ground. There is no throne, O daughter of the Chaldeans. And when you go into that Chaldeans, is going into the elite, the wicked elite that currently run this age. Esau, Edom, the so-called white man today, right? His kingdom, his queendom, as we say, is coming to a harching screech, right? A halt, a screeching halt, as I should say. It says, for thou shalt no more be called tender and delicate, right? Tender and delicate. This place is no more called tender and delicate. The body of this place, the spirit of this place is uneasy, right? It's not at ease. It's diseased. I'm reading it again. It says, decisive point in the progress of a disease. Vitally important or decisive state of things, point at which change must come for better or worse, right? And we know judgment is coming. As if you keep reading in this, it says literal judgment, result of trial. So a judgment, turning point in the disease that change, which indicates recovery or death. And we know nothing but death, right? The grave is coming to Babylon the Great, right? As we get closer and closer to the ending of Esau's age. Esau is the end of the world. Jacob is the beginning of that followeth. These crises, these sorrows must take place before that day comes, before the day of the Lord, right? Let me see something. Zephaniah 1:14. It says, the great day of the Lord, Yahweh, by Hashem Yahushua, is near. It is near and hasteth greatly, even the voice of the day of the Lord, Yahweh, by Hashem Yahushua. The mighty man shall cry bitterly. The mighty man shall cry bitterly.
Bro, like, dude, I can't even do this shit no more. Like, fuck! Like, dude, like, fuck this shit. Like, bro, what the fuck is this shit?
We are sacrificing our daughters and our sons to demons! Look at this generation! What in the world do you see? What do you see? It's demonic to its core!
There are thousands of them, but there's millions of us. There's fucking millions of us. This shit needs to fucking stop now, and no one's doing it but us. Start getting together in small groups, in secure communication forums, and talk about how you're going to protect yourselves, protect us, and fucking fight back.
How? How? How are these people still running this country? Our leaders are pedophiles! They enjoy raping children! Children! What are we doing?
Yeah, and that's what you seeing, right? You seeing people cry bitterly. Come on, this damn thing. Slovakia. Good Lord. Esau don't want me to get the information out. Want me to I can't get back to my last screen. Dang. Slovakia. But yeah, going back to crisis, right? Esau's kingdom is in a crisis mode, right? No work, right? As the jobs are dwindling, more and more people are on unemployment. More and more companies, right? These mom and pop stores are starting to hit hard, right? Even though, post Cornflakes 19, 5 years into it, 6 years into it, whatnot, a lot of companies are starting to be hit hard, right? Closing of stores, big chain stores, the Papa John's, the Domino's, the Wendy's, the Smokies barbecue, all of these stores are beginning to close down, right? Or dwindle their numbers, right? Because like I was saying, America, Babylon is in a crisis, right? It's in a complete crisis. Going back to this article, it says the Treasury from Fortune, the Treasury just declared the U.S. insolvent, right? And we saw that bankrupt. The media missed it. It says the U.S. government is insolvent. That's not hyperbole. It's a conclusion drawn directly from the Treasury Department's own consolidated financial statements of the fiscal year 2025 released last week to near total media silence. The numbers 6.06 trillion in total assets against 47.78 trillion in total liabilities as of September 30th, 2025. And we know since September 30th, 2025, right? And we're in the month of April, or excuse me, in the month of March, in the third week of March, about to go to April. September, October, November, December, January, February, March. That was 6 months ago. Damn near 6 months ago. Right? You 5 days from it being 6 months ago. So imagine how much debt has been racked up since, going to war with Venezuela. Now we're in war with Iran. Right? All of that military spending that's been, allowed it, to just keep printing, which is, the stores, the gas is going up, the store prices is going up. I was looking at chicken the other day for probably 2 pounds of chicken. It was like $20, right? Beef is sky high, right? There's going to be an energy crisis, as they keep saying that you're going to have to ration out energy and whatnot. And we told you, starting with our apostles and our elders of Great Millstone, we told you that these things was coming, right? The beginning of sorrows. The beginning of sorrows. Great mornings. As a matter of fact, let's get it in the Apocrypha. Second Edges. The beginning of sorrows, great mornings, is here. Second Edges 16 and 17. Woe is me, who would deliver me in those days, right? Woe means destruction, because destruction is nigh. It's coming. A whole new system they're about to usher in Babylon the Great, right? It's called the New World Order, the Novos Ordo Seclorum, right? Man merging with machine, everything digital, everything's tracked. Everything can be pulled up in amount of seconds. Money transfers, right? These UBIs, universal basic income is coming. More and more, right? Said perils is coming, but nevertheless, more and more, deceivableness that's coming from this devil that he's going to use to get you to bow that knee to take that digital all, that digital imprint, right? Second Edges 16 and 18, the beginning of sorrows and great mournings, the beginning of famine and great death, right? Great mournings. People, as we saw in these videos, people are upset. People want to fight back, right? They're starting to see that The people that's running this country, a bunch of, idiots, incompetent, dumb, base, right? As the scriptures say, Esau is a base man. Job 30:1. But now they that are younger than I have me in derision, whose fathers I would have disdained to have set with the flock, with the dogs of my flock. Yeah, where too might the strength of their hands profit me, in whom old age was perished. For what? For want and famine they were solitary, fleeing into the wilderness, in former times desolate and waste. Jumping down to 8, it says they were children of fools, yeah, children of base men. They were viler than the earth, right? And that's who you have in the power seat right now, right? That's ruling over the people. That's not ruling in a righteous way, right? Here it is. You have environmentalists and who's done a lot of work, so to speak, in the earth, and they're saying that the earth has too many people on it. We need 5 more earths. These people are, life can't be sustained, and it's like, when I hear things like that, and I be driving around and see how much open land there is, how much open, like just in around your town, right? Esau a damn devil, and he has to be taken out of power. He has to be taken out. Going back to second Edges 16. And 18, it says, the beginning of sorrows and great mournings, the beginning of famine and great death, the beginning of wars, and the power shall stand in fear, the beginning of evils, and what shall I do when these evils come? Behold, famine and plague, tribulation and anguish are sent as scourges for amendment. But for all these things they will not turn from their wickedness, nor be always mindful of the scourges. Right? And these scourges, this is a scourge. Insolvent. That means this place is never they're gonna have to crash, right? They're gonna have to send in a crash to crash this place, man. It says, behold, visuals shall be good cheap upon earth, that they shall think themselves to be in a good case, and even then shall evils grow upon the earth, sword, famine, and great confusion. Right? Because in those visuals, like the visuals goes into cheap food and whatnot, but you got to look at also how convenient it is to get something to you, right? You can order all these things to your front door, right? You can order all these things in the grocery store. You pull up, and they bring it out to you, right? You can order food, you can order furniture, you don't have to leave your house to get everything that you need to your front door. That's cheap. That's cheap in a way that is saving you time, right? Convenient to your time. That's a cheap visual, right? That's a cheap visual that you can easily obtain. You can get anything to your front door, anything. Not only that, it's cheap. It's not a taxing, it's not taxing. So therefore, great confusion, famine and sword. All of it is more and more coming, more and more, right? But we're dealing with a base man. It says importantly, finishing in this article, the 47.78 trillion is reported liabilities do not include the unfunded obligations of social insurance programs like Social Security and Medicare. Those are disclosed separately in off-balance sheet statement in the social insurance. So that's even more debt that they don't even know about. So that's probably another $3 trillion more dollars. And then you spending billions on the war each day. right? There should be a crash. There's a crash that's coming. Going back to the book of Zephaniah, Zephaniah 1 and verse 10, it says, "And it shall come to pass in that day, saith the Lord, that there shall be a noise of a cry from the fish gate, and a howling from the second, and a great crashing from the hills." A great crashing. A great crash is coming from the hills at the fish gate, right? The marketplaces. Says, "How ye inhabitants of Miktesh," it's a popular destination where a lot of commerce and things went down. "For all the merchant people are cut down, all they that bear silver are cut off." Right? So you're going to be cut off. The storehouses, right? It says the government consolidated balance sheet position, excluding the SOSI, deteriorated by nearly 2.7 trillion. Yeah, look, see? 3 trillion, almost 3 trillion. 2 trillion, whatever. Between 2024 and 2025, reaching a staggering negative 41.72 trillion. Total liabilities are now nearly 8 times the value of the reported assets, and the largest drivers were a 2 trillion increase in federal debt and interest payable, now 30.3333, call lawyer how about Shimi Al Shah trillion, and a 438.8 billion increase in federal employee and veteran benefits payable, now 15.747 trillion. So all of these numbers, America has laden itself with thick clay, right? This thick clay is has second Habakkuk 2 and where is it? Is it 6? I think it's 8. Slovakia. Where is it? Yeah. Habakkuk 2 and verse 6, straight to the point. It says, "Shall not these take up a parable against him, and a taunting proverb against him, and saying, Woe to him that increases that which is not his? How long to him that be laden with thick clay?" Laden with thick clay. What is that? I ba sa yasa abasa. I can't. I need the the I need to break it down. I need to write that down and break it down. But Abatsaya say Abatsia Abatsia, yes. Weight of pledges, heavy debts, right? Heavy debts. Heavy debts. Because these countries don't want to buy U.S. debt no more. So what are they going to do? Start trading in the other currencies, right? Right. So how long will you keep, picking up this debt, right? Because the Lord has brought a snare in a trap. Job 18, verse 10, it says, I'm going to start at 7. Job 18 and verse 7. Let me highlight that. Job 18 and 7. The steps of his strength shall be straightened, and his own counsel shall cast him down. Right? His own counsel, his own understanding. Right? Because Esau's understanding is from the left-hand side, spiritual demon Satan. Right? So his own counsel, his own schemes, right, will be the downfall of him. It says, "For he is cast into a net by his own feet, and he walketh upon a snare." He's cast into a net by his own feet, right? He don't know that he's walking into his own demise. He thinks he's doing something great in the earth by trying to put all this strain on these different nations, trying to bully these different nations into doing things because he's been given the sword, right? So when you're given a sword, you're given death, destruction. That's all you know. That's all you can ever, it's a blessing. Your blessing is destruction. Your blessing is destruction. So all you can do is kill, seek and destroy. Seek and destroy. Verse 9, it says, the jinn shall take him by the heel, and the robber shall prevail against him. The snare is laid for him in the ground, and the trap for him in the way. Terror shall make him afraid on every side, and drive him to his feet. His strength shall be hunger bitten, and destruction shall be ready at his side. Right? You don't even need to break that down. It's self-explanatory. Right? As the American people, Babylon, the Babylonians, right, as they keep crying and belly aching about prices, and they seeing the demise of their current society, right? More and more uneasiness, more and more sorrows, right, is going to come. More insurrections, seditions. It's all coming to the forefront of Babylon the Great, right? That's going to heighten Jacob's trouble, right? Jacob's trouble is going to be heightened. As you see, ICE is now at the airports. TSA agents are not getting paid. They're saying, go home. ICE got it from here. ICE is not trained or anything. But act stupid if you want to in those airports. They're going to shoot you. They're going to kill you. They're going to delete you. Right? That's another snare in the trap that they're laying on the people. But, to me, I believe, or, just this opinion, right? What they're doing is they had ICE in the streets, messing people up if they act stupid. Trial run. They had ICE in Minnesota doing what they're doing, trial run. They got ICE in the airports, trial run. They got ICE in the streets, walking through neighborhoods and whatnot, trial run. Locking down buildings and whatnot. These are all trial runs, because when they bring the hammer, right, you're not going to have anything to say about it. And they're putting laws in place for these things, right? Upping up the National Guard, doing all of these things. This is Psalm 69 and 21. They gave me also gall for my meat, and in my thirst they gave me vinegar to drink, and that's Yahweh Shah on the cross, right? Prophesied in the book of Psalms. King David is writing about it, but he's talking about Yahweh Shah. Verse 22, let their table become a snare before them, and that which should have been for their welfare, and let it become a trap. And not only that, it gave me vinegar to drink, right? Babylon, going back into Babylon, they treated our Lord like that. So you're going to treat the Lord like that. Guess what? It's still going to follow you. Your sins are going to follow you, Esau. So your table has become made a snare, because one of the things that you did to our Lord on the cross, right? It says, let their table become a snare, and that which have been for their welfare, let it become a trap. Let their eyes be darkened, and they see not, and make their loins continually to shake. Pour out the indignation upon them, and let thy wrath, anger take hold of them. Let their habitation be desolate, and let none dwell in their tents. Right? This snare. You gave the Lord vinegar to drink. You passed, as a matter of fact, Esau, Habakkuk 2 and 15, woe unto him that giveth the neighbor's drink, that putteth thy bottle to him, and maketh him drunken also, that thou mayest look on their nakedness. Thou art filled with shame of glory. Drink thou also, let thy foreskin be uncovered, and the cup of the Lord's, Yahweh's right hand, shall be turned into thee, and shameful spewing shall be of thy glory. Right? Shameful spewing. Right? Because this Esau has put the cup, right, to these other nations. Now he's drinking of that cup. Jeremiah 51 and 6, flee out of the midst of Babylon, and deliver every man his soul, and be not cut off in her iniquity, for this is the time of the Lord's vengeance. It says, he will render unto her a recompense. Babylon has been a golden cup, there go that cup again, in the Lord's hand, that made all the earth drunken, and the nations have drunken of her wine. Therefore the nations are mad. Everybody's drinking of this whore's wine, and the nations are mad.
The empire is collapsing, and one of the things that happens when the empire collapses is that the guns eventually turn inside. And that's what Donald Trump just announced. Now with the death of Iran, the greatest enemy America has is the radical left, highly incompetent Democratic Party. Thank you for your attention to this matter, Donald J. Trump. And this is how we know that mental illness has really seeped into the highest levels of office in the United States, because this is an attack on free speech as we know it. This is the vilification of half of the country. Beyond the vilification, this is directly...
See, attack on a free speech, because it's coming down to the wire that all that's coming out about these small hats, Amalek, who they truly are, who they truly not are, right? How Trump is in bed with them, right? Anti-Semite laws are coming. Damn, these niggas... Hold on, Salakia. Salakia. Nigga right by the door or the window, trying to do a lesson. As these laws are coming, right? These anti-Sim laws, we're just gonna usher in a famine of the word. As we know in Amos 8, it says, I'll send a famine, not of thirst and hunger, but of hearing the Lord's word, right? And that's what is being geared up to. And this, Nero 47 been talking about it for a while now. He's been going in on it for a while now.
Positioning them as an enemy of the state. The thing is, the radical left isn't a political faction. It isn't an ideology. It's just an imperial catch-all that billionaires use to describe people who disagree with them. People who think that groceries are too expensive. People who think that the kind of policy that's coming downhill from Washington, D.C. isn't actually good for the American people. To question these things is to be the radical left. You can count yourself as MAGA. You can count yourself as a staunch Republican, conservative, deep in your heart. But still, if you question the narrative that's coming from Washington, D.C., you would be considered radical left. This is an attack on the American people. This is framing the American people as the enemy within. And the thing is, no one's surprised.
Remember, Trump said that we got to deal with the homegrowns, right? What did he mean by that? The homegrowns, right? Everybody that's against this current, regime, this American regime. If you're against it, if you're against us, we got to X you out. We got to get rid of you, right? That's why this information, if there's an information crisis, right? There's a division crisis. And we know what our Lord said about the division. If Satan be against himself, he's going to fall. He's not going to be able to stand, right? So Satan himself, right, is divided amongst his people. And his people are seeing that. They didn't get a piece of the pie. Amalek got all the steal, right? An illegitimate son, a bastard, right? Stole all the goodies. And now these Edomites are starting to see, right? These Edomites are starting to see.
We all knew that it would come down to this at some point, and it is coming down to it now, because this is what happens in an authoritarian state when the dreams and wishes of a tyrant are realized. And we're seeing those dreams realized in real time right now. America was built on the foundation of being able to challenge the government, to being able to question it, to be able to have the kind of free thought and free expression to drive civilization forward by correcting the errors that are coming from the highest offices. This is a shift away from that, if we're being sterile. But in reality, this is an attack at the very heart of what it is to be an American. The world has sat on the sidelines and really watched America fail across the world, fail in its trade policy, fail with the announcements of tariffs being placed on every one of our trade partners. And now we see countries like Malaysia just completely breaking with trade relations from the United States without any kind of reason. Because when America declares itself to be the enemy, of course the rest of the world's going to declare it to be an enemy as well. What we've seen from this entire year is just a concerted effort by this government to feed the beast that is the military-industrial complex, and it's not going how they thought it was going to be.
Partly strong and partly weak. You got a strong military, but you got a weak house. You got a weak home base, right? The people are divided. The people know you're up to no good. The people don't want you in office anymore. You got MAGA barely hanging on, right? You got them barely hanging on, but they know it's bad, but they still got to ride with it because they're America first, they're patriots and whatnot, right? A crisis. America is in crisis mode. America is in crisis mode, and there's nothing that can be done. There's nothing that can save it. We would have healed Babylon, but she cannot be healed.
In the Middle East. And though the continuation of the conflict is solidified at this point with the escalating violence that we're seeing from every angle of this conflict right now, the American people are left alone to fend for themselves truly. And with zero representation, or the only representation that they have that they actually think is going to oppose this administration, this is going to, the empire is collapsing. And one of the things that happened.
Yeah, so America's in crisis mode. America is insolvent and in crisis mode on all fronts, all straights. You know, we're going to continue to see this place spiral. We're living in the end times. We're living in the ending of an empire, right? And we at the 250th year of an empire. So nothing is going to go up from here. It's just going to get worse and worse and worse until it's all gone. So call hello Yahweh Shemi Shah by Shemar Kakadash. Double honors and salutations to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone. Much respect to you brothers out on the highways and byways, pushing this truth with fear and sincerity. And shalom to the hopeful elect. Hope to see you on the next video, Lord willing. Shalom.